Call this meeting to order. Tonight, we're going to be led in the pledge by two of our honorees for tonight, Sean Kennedy and Lex Middleton with Riverdale High School. Thank you. We're going to do our moment of silence. I've got about three individuals here, their families I'd like us to remember. Our principal at Christiana Elementary, Julie Benson. She lost her father, George Lowry, of Lebanon on May 9th. Eileen Woodson, she's a social worker within the system here. She lost her mother last week to cancer, and James Evans, our media relations person, his mother-in-law passed away last night. So just appreciate everybody remembering each one of them and their families. So. Thank you. All right. Approval of agenda.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Blair and a second by Mr. Young. Any further discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Draw the blank. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Y'all drew a blank. Any opposed to it? Motion passes. I'm sorry. Approval of consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Mr. Eakes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Any visitors? Ms. Michaels?
No.
Okay. Number 7, Mr. Odom.
Number 7, we have some recognitions this evening, some very good recognitions. Proud of this one. Mr. Ryan Nance, who is the assistant principal at Riverdale High School, I think, is going to introduce these for us tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Like you said, my name is Ryan Nance. I'm an assistant principal at Riverdale High School, and it is my pleasure to introduce these two fine young student athletes. But before then, it's been a busy day at Riverdale. We've got graduation coming up, which I know a lot of you will attend here at 7 o'clock. Currently, also, our baseball team is playing right now. They're in the state tournament. They're playing their first game. And then also our soccer team is playing tonight at 7 o'clock at Siegel Park. So we have a bunch of student athletes that are unfortunately going to miss graduation tonight because they're doing their own ceremonies because of their games. But it's a great day to be a Riverdale Warrior. So to move on to that, I'm going to introduce Miss Middleton. Alexa, will you come up here, please? Coach Corey Barrett could not be here tonight, so I'm going to speak on his behalf, and then I'm going to turn over to Officer Sean Jones, who is the coach for the wrestling team, and Sean Kennedy. This is quoting Coach Barrett. Alexa is an outstanding person with an exceptional family in Mike and Celeste. They gave their all for Riverdale for the last 4 years and will be missed dearly. Alexa is the definition of a team player. She is a tireless worker that can and should be a great example to any student athlete with high aspirations. Alexa's contribution to Our Lady Warrior program has been one that will always be remembered on Warrior Drive. We love her and her family with all our hearts, and tonight we celebrate one last time her accomplishments as a Riverdale Lady Warrior. So just to kind of give you some of the accolades that she's had, she's an honor roll student. I've kept up with the papers she signed with the University of Tennessee. If you were able to watch ESPNU back a couple months ago, she was a McDonald's All-American. She was Women's Basketball Coach Association All-American. She was USA Today third team All-American. She was ranked as high as 22nd player in the country by ESPN Top 100. She was a USA Trials member in 2012. She was a Miss Basketball finalist in 2013. She was the Miss Basketball winner in 2014 this past year. She was a national champion in 2013, a two-time state champion in 2012 and 2013. She's 2013 Tennessee and Mid-State Player of the Year, 2013 Iolani Classic Most Outstanding Player, and then in 2012 she's the Peach State Basketball Invitational MVP. So needless to say, this fine young lady has a lot of hardware at her house. So we congratulate her. We're going to miss her dearly. I mean, she's a great person. Just in the 2 years that I've known her, she's got great work ethic, and she works hard all the time. She'll be there late at night, shooting basketballs, doing everything that she can to get better and better. So I want to congratulate her and what she's done. I'm going to turn it over to Officer Sean Jones, but before I do, he's going to talk about Sean Kennedy. Sean's another one of those great student athletes. If we had them all like they are, our jobs would be a lot easier. I promise you that. They're just great students and athletes as well. So they take care of business and do what's great, and we appreciate everything that they've done. So, Officer Jones.
How you doing, guys? I'm Officer Sean Jones. I'm the SRO at Riverdale High School and also their head wrestling coach. I'm here tonight to recognize Sean Kennedy for his accomplishments this wrestling season. I've been with Sean for quite a while, and as a young man, he's outstanding. Never have any issues with him. He's a great leader. On and off the mat, he's actually got a 3.65 GPA, so he shows that his hard work goes beyond just the wrestling mat. Sean went 41-0 this year. Just want to make sure I was right. And out of that 41 matches, he might have had 5 matches that went the whole time, which you got to kind of understand our sport. He either pinned or tech falled, which means he kind of run ruled every wrestler that he went against this year. So extremely proud of the young man. Of course, he won the state championship, but he also, what a lot of people don't realize, he's also a 2-time All-American where he goes to national tournaments, and he just got through a month ago competing in Virginia Beach and went against 78 other wrestlers, best in the country, and got 3rd place, which is extremely hard to do. So with that being said, I'm going to call Sean up here. It happens to be that his state championship ring came in today, if y'all don't mind. I'd like to hand that to him. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chairman, you might want to proclaim today Riverdale Day for the county with all that's going on.
We got a lot going on with Riverdale, you're right. All good, too. Any board members have any comments before?
Just so neat to witness excellence in person. So this is so cool for us. And I was telling them before the meeting how not only is Riverdale proud of them, but the county community is so very proud of their success. And I'm sure they'll continue to be All-Americans when they get in their collegiate experience. So it'll be fun to watch the next 4 years.
Anybody else?
I had the privilege of throwing basketballs out to Alexa when she was 4 on our team, a church league team, and I told her 2 things. Alexa, you'll never be as tall as your mother. You need to learn to shoot the 3. So she did that, and she is such a pleasure to watch. I'm not into wrestling, but I'm sure I would have enjoyed every match you had, because it is a great sport when you do watch it. It's very competitive, and that's wonderful. They're both great athletes, but even more so, you heard what great people and what great students they are. What a great credit to the Rutherford County school system.
Behind strong athletes are very often strong families.
Amen.
And that's the support that makes the difference. So commend all of you very much as parents.
All right, anybody else? All right, Mr. Odom, C.
We have a special recognition tonight also in C, and I'm going to ask Dr. Joe Phillips to step up if he would, and Nurse Joanna McCracken, and SRO Matt Rowe, if you will step up also. You know, we were in I think one of our budget meetings about a week ago, and I told you a little bit about an event that happened at John Coleman. And Mr. Hodge received an email from a gentleman, and I want to read that email to you, and it kind of explains what's involved in this. And I'm going to leave out the student's name. It says, many of you may be aware of this, but this past week, several people at John Coleman Elementary acted truly heroically and saved the life of my nephew. This past Tuesday, the student's name, collapsed while running and went into cardiac arrest. The child's mother has told me the details, and it's clear the quick actions of Dr. Joe Phillips, the school nurse, which is Joanna McCracken, and the school resource officer Rowe, again, is what we're seeing here. And he said, saved his life. They started the code blue process they have, began CPR, called 911, and got the AED and shocked his heart. I understand there were other people that were involved as well and helped out, and my apologies that I don't know everybody involved. Now listen to this paragraph. I am an emergency room doctor, and I'm truly amazed that the school had some type of code blue protocol, had a defibrillator, and in such a stressful situation, they were able to take the necessary actions to save this child. There's no question that their actions saved his life. He is still in the hospital getting treatment, but he would not be with us had these heroes not acted. I send this email with hopes that all involved get recognized for saving a young man's life. We will be forever grateful for their actions, and I hope the school board, the town of Smyrna, and the county recognize what an amazing thing they did. People don't recognize how, and Ms. Delbridge is here, how the training that we go through prepare our people in the schools to act when these emergencies arise. But you were called up on this time, and you performed so heroically that I want to recognize you, especially this board does tonight. You saved a young man's life, and that's all that we can say. Dr. Phillips, do you want to add anything? Because I know you told me about it, how you also.
It was just a normal day. We're having our hike-a-thon, and Officer Rowe said code blue. I went out, it was a child in cardiac arrest. She took over, and it was amazing. You had to be there to appreciate it. Little boy he was like a cardiac arrest. She screamed at me to get the AED. I went and got it. She was performing CPR. Officer Rowe had the breathing mask and breathing tube. She was doing the chest presses. He was breathing for the child. I got the AED. She handed it to her. Really, I'm up here just to recognize them. I didn't do anything. Just stayed out of the way. Let them do their expert jobs. And she took the AED out. Took the shockers, hooked him up. Popped it. He jerked a little bit. They kept performing, and there were another SRO from Smyrna Elementary came over. 2 Smyrna policemen came. There were 2 ambulances came, emergency medical technicians, and they actually stood back for a little while. All this probably took about 15 minutes. Little boy, when she first got there, it was the perfect video. If that could have been shot, it'd be the perfect training video. She went down and she shook him, said the little boy's name, shook him, there was no response. She listened for air, she checked his pulse, and they went to work. So, we've got great recognition for some athletes that did some great things. We have 2 employees that, I'll never forget, it's something you'll never forget in your entire life to watch them work. So they did a great job.
Either one of you will say
Any board members have any comments? Mr.
Just
Holliday?
thank you for doing your job. Thank you.
Applause is not enough. Wow.
God bless you.
Anybody else? All right, Mr. Odom, number 8.
Number 8 is a special course request. The instruction department is requesting permission to amend the application to offer credit for special courses under the following guidelines. Rule 521-3-1-3.05-2A. Local school systems may offer special courses not listed in 521-3.06 on an experimental basis. The Commissioner of Education must approve each course in advance each year. After 3 years, the course may become a permanent part of the local school program upon approval by the State Board of Education. After 3 years, the special course request must be resubmitted if the teacher listed on the application changes. Recommend approval. Motion to approve Rutherford County amending application for new special courses to be offered in the named schools in 2014-15 as presented. Number 1, etymology, first-year request at Laverne High School. And number 2, historically speaking, first-year request at Siegel High. And Mr. Zago did some work on the historically speaking, and it deals with speeches of people in American history and all that they did to look at those and analyze them and see what the issues were going on at that time. Sounds like it'd be a really interesting course to take. So, and he said that they have to have at least 25 students for the course.
I set a minimum under you guys' guidelines or a recommendation of a single class and a minimum of 25 students in that class before it takes. If it does not have 25 students that offers or wants to take this class signs up for it, we will not make it, and we'll try again next year when we have enough students for that.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Jernigan and a second by Mr. Blair. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 9.
This is ESEA and IDEA Consolidated Funding Application. Under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, ESEA, and the Individual with Disabilities Act, IDEA, the local consolidated grant application for fiscal year 2015.01 includes the following components. Title I, Part A, improving the academic achievement for the disadvantaged. Title II, Part A, teacher and principal training and recruitment. Title III, Part A, English language acquisition, language enhancement, and academic achievement. IDEA, Part B, individual with disabilities, and IDEA preschool, that's a preschool program. Recommend approval. Motion to approve the fiscal year 2015.01 local consolidated grant application under ESEA, IDEA, and authorize the director of schools to file any necessary budget revisions, addenda, or transfer request. Need to say last night the board had a work session, and you did go over any of these and any questions that were asked for people that's watching us on television tonight. This is your second time to see these things.
You heard the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Blair and a second by Mr. Holliday. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 10.
Number 10 is the server room HVAC system. Rutherford County Schools System Hardware and Support Group is in the process of enlarging and upgrading the secondary server room located in the Engineering Department Hall. To meet the growing size and number of servers and overcome the heat that is generated by these servers and keep the servers running smoothly, a new HVAC system is required. The Engineering Department has developed the requirements and requested that Hawk Mechanical submit an estimate performed under a design build contract. The estimate for the preferred system is $72,000. Hawk Mechanical has done several design build projects for Rutherford County Schools over the past several years and always performed flawlessly. Recommend approval. Motion to approve Hawk Mechanical with a budget of $72,000 for design build of an HVAC system for the secondary server room at the central office. The system will be approximately 13.5 tons and funded through the technology budget. Design build is a professional service.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion by Mr. Nipper and a second by Mr. Holliday. Any further discussion on this?
This is a out of the ordinary, no bid circumstance that we discussed last night, and as a board member, I wanted to state that sufficient evidence has been presented that it's appropriate for Hawk Mechanical to do this, and that they have special expertise to be able to fill this need.
And a great track record with us.
Anybody else? Mr. Jernigan?
Question. We haven't experienced cost overruns with them in the past, have we?
No, so we've usually saved money with them.
So I can remember a few jobs.
Anybody else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 11.
Number 11 is non-renewal of non-tenured teachers. Recommend approval, motion to authorize the Director of Schools recommendation for non-renewal of non-tenured teachers at the conclusion of the 2013-2014 school year. And you do have a revised list at your desk. I think there's 2 less names than was on the initial list last night. So you have a new copy of that.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Blair and a second by Mr. Eakes. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 12, general discussion. Mr. Blair?
The incident at John Coleman just continues to validate our nursing situation, and that we need them on site, and it is critical, and even if it's just one life, but it's still one life, and it just have a warmth, just knowing that child was saved by professionals in our system, and that are well-trained and, like I said, professional. And I'm so grateful for them, and so grateful for the training and things that the central office has also put in place. And it's critical that we have full-time nurses on every campus.
You remember when we were questioned whether we really need AEDs or not? Do you remember that a while back? This should answer that question.
Without a doubt,
Yeah.
again, just so very happy that we do have first responders like that, and that they saved this child's life.
You know, you didn't mention the name of the child, and that's because of policy. These nurses do so many things that we can't call names for because of privacy policies that exist. When Riverdale opened, my wife had the pleasure of being one of the first nurses in the school system. We had one at Oakland and one at Riverdale at that time. And some of the things that no names, but situations that she could make me familiar with, just cried out for help from that specialty, from the medical specialty. Not that you have a doctor in the school building, but you have a nurse that can say, hey, this is the direction we need to go in. And so many, as I say, so many of those things are private. We don't need to know them, we don't know them, but they do their job, and they earn every bit of money that they make. And I think many of them now are involved in teaching health classes that go beyond just the clinic. So it's a necessity, and I'm just tickled to death. It again shows that this county school system is moving up the ladder. We're trying to facilitate the needs of the children as they grow in the school system and secure their safety.
Mr. Nipper?
You know, I hear from the public, and I read on the internet where every time there's a budget crisis mentioned, they talk about taking the SROs out of the schools. This is a prime example where SRO in that school helped save their life. So many times they're talking about how the SROs are just truant officers or that they're there to deal out punishment. But now, the SROs are there for more. They're there to help save lives, there to be friends with the children. There's so many things that the SROs do and do right. And this is one prime example of that.
Anybody else, Mr. Ogle?
Let me mention one communication I got this afternoon. I hope it doesn't reflect on the school system, but the State Department of Education sends us an email this afternoon. State law says, if you remember, that 20% of the second semester grade for 3 through 5, our students is based on the EOC test. And for 6 through 8, 25% of their second semester grade is their, well, it's a TCAP test actually in K through 8. So we get this email this afternoon that says, basically the scores are not going to be ready in time. They may be ready by the end of next week. You may go ahead and calculate it without that, and or you can hold the report cards and after they get that score in, include that, and then send it to parents. Our people are out of, they won't be there at the end of next week. And so, you know, and then does the score change after that EOC test comes in? So I've learned to kind of sit back and just listen a little while. About 30 minutes it started hitting from directors all over the state and everything. So it's my latest understanding, we will see. It's my latest understanding that the state may have decided if we request a waiver from this, that we might get a waiver and go ahead and be able to calculate it based upon what the student did during the year and not have to include that TCAP at the end. It's amazing. Now, how you get waivers from state law, I don't know. But anyway, it'll probably play out in the news, because I know Musbury City, they were going to try to notify their parents, but I'll keep you informed as to what happens. But we have nothing to do with this. This is all state, yet we're caught up in it.
Excuse me, let me make sure the state said now we can base the last semester grade on what the student did the last semester.
That sounds like what we're gonna say. That's kind of my, isn't that amazing?
Are we sending out a system-wide school messenger just to make sure that our parents know that this is the state's issue and not ours?
Well, I mean, it just hit late this afternoon, so as soon as we hear what, you know, if it works out, we may send a message that the TCAP test will not be a part this semester of your child's score. But to get people worked up and then it turn around and change, so that's why I told James Evans, let's just sit back. I've been this long enough now to know sometimes you need to let the dust settle a little. Things that are crisis amazingly work out sometimes.
Mr. Oden, I just received a phone call from the Corps office and a text wanting me to call them, so.
That's what it's about. Do you want to request a waiver? And we'll just waive it where our kids can get a grade next week and a report card. Is what we'll do. If that's okay with everybody here.
So moved.
What do you do with the TCAP when you get it back?
See, the state law had that the TCAP had to be used as part of that second semester final grade at the rate, and it's high school, not the EOC for high school. And that's another issue tonight. Riverdale, those scores came back today. You got kids that'll walk the line at Riverdale tonight that will probably have a blank sheet of paper in there where their diploma will be because they didn't have the scores to let them calculate their final grade. Gail Vicks tomorrow night, she called me this afternoon. She said, we've got blank sheets of paper. We didn't know whether we'd have them or not. Do I tell my guidance counselor to work all night? I says, no, Ms. Vick, don't tell your counselors to work all night. You know, do what you have to, and then we'll get the diploma to them when we get the grade or make that option. So, I mean, we run into similar things like this at the end of the year, but the turnaround is just tighter than the state can deliver. That's exactly what it amounts to.
The thing that's so absurd is that they set the dates
Yes.
for everything.
Yes.
And that they cannot come through in a professional manner is just it's really kind of unbelievable that they're that inefficient. And it just seems like year after year, we have some kind of large hiccup like this, that the state just was not able to fulfill its responsibility to us, but it expects us to fulfill all of our responsibilities to their needs, and it's incredible.
I just couldn't see us sending out a thing, well, you won't get a report card, you know, I mean, parents are naturally probably gonna blame us rather than them, but it looks like they worked out a way to where we can deal
Well,
with this.
in the expense of mailing out
Oh, yeah.
40,000.
Yeah, I saw one superintendent said he was gonna send a bill of $120,000 to the State Department of Education. I don't think he got it, but he did speak up real quick.
Yeah. I guess that would be another unfunded mandate, Mr. Odom.
Actually, and it's interesting enough, Mr. Sandvik is preparing a list of unfunded mandates for us to bring forward next week when we meet with our county commissioners to kind of let them know what we're having to assume that we really do not have any control over. So that's one of the things he's working on for next week.
About all I can say, Mr. Sandvik, hang in there. You'll make it.
We know the reality is, to take your comment a step further, not so much us, the kids and the parents who, you know, the kids who utilize the system, the parents who pay for the system, that's who we're failing as a state government when we can't do the things that we've said we must do.
It's an expectation.
Well, I think some of it is that they worry about other things too much instead of worrying about what they need to take care of. That's my opinion.
First order of business is the student.
Anybody else? Mr. Holliday?
All good.
You good? All right, the only thing I've got, I know we're gonna be busy here the next several nights. We've got our budget meeting, I think everybody got the notice, 27th at 4:30, so I believe that's the last graduation night too. So I'd say we'll try to get out of here at 5:30 or so where we can get over there for that. Anybody else? If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.